Right now, somewhere in the world, a person is sitting with their laptop open, Google Docs staring back at them, cursor blinking like it's judging them, and instead of working, they're suddenly very interested in reorganizing their phone gallery from 2017. And if that sounds oddly specific, yeah, that's procrastination culture. Let's be honest. Procrastination isn't laziness. Lazy people don't feel guilty. Procrastinators feel everything. Guilt, stress, motivation bursts at 2:43 a.m., and a strange confidence that says, I still have time, even when time has clearly left the building. Procrastination is basically your brain saying, I know this matters, but I'm not emotionally prepared for it yet. And that's where psychology gets interesting, because procrastinators aren't avoiding work. They're avoiding feelings. The feeling of starting. The feeling of not doing it perfectly. The feeling of realizing, oh wow, this might actually be hard. So instead, the brain does something genius and evil at the same time. It says, let's do something productive, just not that thing. That's how you end up cleaning your room like your life depends on it. Right when an important deadline is staring at you. Suddenly you're wiping shelves you haven't touched in 3 years. You're folding clothes with military precision. You're becoming a domestic legend. But the actual task? Untouched. Ignored. Emotionally ghosted. Procrastination loves to dress up as productivity. And that's why it's so sneaky. Another classic move procrastinators pull is over-preparing. You don't start the project. You get ready to start the project. You watch 5 videos. Read 3 articles. Make a perfect playlist. Buy a notebook that feels right. And then, nothing. Because preparation feels safe. Starting feels risky. Starting means you might fail. Or feel dumb. Or realize it's not as easy as your brain imagined. So procrastinators stay in the comfort zone of almost starting. And here's the wild part, procrastinators are usually very self-aware. They know exactly what they're doing. They'll even joke about it. I work best under pressure. I just need the right mood. I'll do it tonight for sure. Tonight never comes. Or it comes at 11:57 p.m. with panic and caffeine. And suddenly magic happens. Because procrastinators are also chaos geniuses. They'll do in one night what could have been done calmly in 3 days. Fueled by stress, fear, and a questionable amount of coffee. And when it works, their brain goes, see, this is why we procrastinate. The brain remembers the win, not the suffering. So the cycle continues. But underneath all that humor, procrastination usually hides something deeper. Fear of being judged. Fear of messing up. Fear of doing your best and still not being enough. That's why some of the smartest, most creative people procrastinate the most. Because when you care deeply, starting feels heavier. If you don't start, you can still imagine it being perfect. The moment you start, reality enters the chat. And reality doesn't care about your imagination. So procrastination becomes protection. Protects your identity, your self-image, your hope that I could be amazing if I really tried. That's also why procrastinators struggle with deadlines they set for themselves. If someone else gives the deadline, fear kicks in. If you give the deadline, your brain goes, nice suggestion. Self-discipline doesn't work well when emotions are running the show. And procrastinators are extremely emotional thinkers. Not dramatic, just deeply internal. They don't delay because they don't care. They delay because they care too much. Another underrated reason people procrastinate? Decision fatigue. The task isn't one task. It's 10 decisions stacked on top of each other. Where do I start? What if I choose wrong? What if there's a better way? So the brain freezes, and frozen brains scroll. Scrolling feels easy. It gives tiny dopamine hits. No pressure, no risk, no judgment. That's why procrastination and phones are best friends. You go online for a minute, and somehow it's the future now. But here's the thing no one tells procrastinators. The hardest part isn't doing the work. It's transitioning into the work. Once you're in it, you're usually fine. Sometimes even locked in, hyper-focused, in your zone. But the doorway? That's the battlefield. And procrastinators stand outside that doorway like, I don't know if I'm ready to enter. What actually helps procrastinators isn't motivation speeches or hustle culture yelling at them. It's lowering the emotional bar. Not finish the whole thing. Just open the file. Not work for 2 hours. Just 5 minutes. Because procrastination hates small starts. Small starts don't trigger fear. They don't threaten identity. They don't feel heavy. And once you start, a momentum does its thing. Another truth procrastinators don't hear enough. Your worth isn't measured by your productivity. A lot of procrastination is tied to self-worth. If I do well, I'm good. If I fail, I'm nothing. That pressure makes starting terrifying. So the brain delays to protect the ego. But the moment you separate who you are from what you produce, starting becomes lighter. Messy work is allowed. Imperfect drafts are allowed. Progress beats perfection every time. And yes, procrastinators hate hearing that. Because perfection feels safer than effort. But perfection doesn't exist. Effort does. And effort compounds. The funniest part? Procrastinators are usually great at helping other people get things done. They'll motivate friends, give advice, create step-by-step plans. But when it's their own task, brain says, absolutely not. Because when it's personal, emotions hijack logic. So if you're someone who procrastinates, here's the real takeaway. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not unmotivated. You're emotionally intelligent, future-oriented, creative, and sometimes overwhelmed by your own expectations. The goal isn't to become someone who never procrastinates. That person doesn't exist. The goal is to procrastinate less destructively, to start smaller, to stop waiting for the perfect mood, to work with your brain instead of fighting it. Because motivation usually follows action, not the other way around. And once you realize procrastination isn't your enemy, but a signal that something feels heavy, unclear, or emotionally loaded, you stop shaming yourself and start understanding yourself. And understanding yourself? That's where real change begins. Not tomorrow, not later, not after one more scroll, but right after this video ends. Yeah. I see you grinning face with smiling eyes.